Hi, my name's Keith and I'm known as the Florida Stone Man. And today I'm going to talk to you all about how to upgrade yourself spiritually. And yeah, I mean upgrade yourself spiritually past the point where other people are able to upgrade themselves, because this video is actual knowledge. I'm going to start this topic off by, I do get questions very often. How do you know so much for your age? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, the first thing I always ask God for is knowledge, and knowledge is exactly what I get. Number two, there's a list of reasons, besides having a bunch of angels that help. Number two, I remember most of my past life. Not many people are supposed to, but it's pretty helpful to know that. Now, number three, angels. They don't say everything, but they say what I'm supposed to teach. Now, I'm trying to keep it nice and simple. How do I know how to upgrade you guys spiritually? It's because I know it works, so I know it doesn't work. Okay? I'm not allowed to say certain things of basically what people will try, but a lot of people will try to upgrade themselves spiritually the wrong way. I'm going to teach you the most powerful way to upgrade spiritually, and the most powerful way, number one, the biggest way and the most powerful way to upgrade yourself spiritually is through God. Yeah, through God. People don't like hearing this, and if you don't like hearing this, then you're not going to get upgraded spiritually, because you can't upgrade without God. You're not your own God. Essentially, we have God inside of us, but the reason that God lets us be here is to test who we really are through his free will. Now, the biggest downfall of man is thinking that we are our own gods. That takes you into a very bad place. It takes you to a whole habitat of demons. And that's actually how Adam and Eve got persuaded into taking a bite from the apple. Not necessarily apple, but fruit in the Garden of Eden, which got them kicked out and downgraded. Now, a lot of you might have some questions. You're like, well, how are these so that... Ooh, I'm not trying to say any specifics. I'll have to bite my tongue or put my hand over my mouth a few times. How are these celebrities getting upgraded through darkness? It's because the upgrades they're getting is not... It's not from them. And something is just using them. So they're essentially just pawns. Let's just call them pawns. They're tools. So it doesn't matter who fits that space. And not every celebrity does it. Not every single celebrity will sell themselves. But a lot of them, a good portion of them, will get very impatient. And they're just like, okay, fine, I'll just do this contract very quick, whatever. And the habit is a lot of them do turn straight back to God, which you can't really undo that. So it's kind of like a guilt consciousness. So a lot of celebrities will be like, they'll sell themselves very fast or very quickly, and you can't undo it. And they'll be like, well, thank God for all my success. And they put an illusion on themselves, which the enemy does remind them, like, hey, you know this is not from God, right? And it scares them. So they get reminded of that very heavily. Some just are fully anti-God, but you can't upgrade with something you can keep, because you don't keep that. When you go to afterlife, you have less than you actually came here with when you do it through darkness. Because there's different categories of people in darkness. So a common trend of people who are just doing dark things is they can't ever upgrade, and the upgrades that they get are very temporary. There's more going backwards than there is more going back than there is going forwards, or the upgrades are not real upgrades, or they're not sustainable. They don't stay. They're not of light, and they're not right, so they can be knocked away. Because when the enemy gives you something, it can be taken as fast as it was given to you. When God gives you something, when the Most High gives you something, nothing's taking it away, because the devil can't go past God. The devil cannot go past God in any way, shape, or form. If you ever pay attention to people at the top of occults, they're always talking about, well, they have to go around this person because this person's of God, so they can't do much to them, etc. You can't. People of God, authentic people of God, because there are people of God who pretend to be of God, and they're doing really bad things, or they'll try to do both. They'll try to do darkness and they'll try to do light when it's oil and water. Those two don't fit the same space. Heaven's not in hell, and hell's not in heaven. Okay, they're separate places, and yeah, they're actual places. Now, and okay, the first step is to turn to God. So you're not upgrading, and you. I told someone this on TikTok, and they flipped out at me. You always know where people are mentally when they completely flip out at you. It's just unleashing shadows they have not worked through. I deleted the comments so no one really saw it, because it's not really meant for people to see that much trauma in comments towards anyone. I never take it personally, but I just feel bad for the person at the end of the day. I'm like, okay, this person felt that, but delete. I have videos about how to dissolve that. But when you're doing stuff through darkness, it can be taken away. Like that. That's why people who are just flat out darkness, when they open gifts, the gifts disappear in one day. If you didn't know that was a thing, it's an actual thing. So an entire gift will be there. The next day, it's just kind of gone. Why is that? It's because the enemy knows how you react when it's taken away. Or God will take it away because he just didn't want you to have it, and he didn't allow the enemy to give it to you. Or there's a gift capacity where you reach 99% of your gift opening, and it never fully opens. It's kind of like chasing the dragon, because God won't let it open, and that's how much he'll let it happen, just through darkness. Because he's letting it happen because you're a human with free will, so sometimes he'll just let you just show yourself as a soul. Now, we haven't covered that the most powerful way to open your spiritual power, your spiritual gift set, is through God, because he is the one who determines what happens. You can't go around him. In Law of Attraction, the only right thing I agree with these people who, because people let stuff go to their head. Look how celebrities, look what happened to them when they say, whoa, I'm my own God. Look at that. Yeah, then they lose their entire family the next day. I'm not going to say who. I really can't say who because, yeah. But, don't do that. Don't. And you shouldn't be doing that anyway. Like, who's that as a person doing that? Like, is that who you want around you? No. So, when you go through God, then you ask of God, and then one thing you do assume is that everything we know is not correct. So, what do I mean everything we know is not correct? So, never assume you know 100% of everything. Coming from a spiritual teacher, coming from someone who helps people, and I have methods that work, and I have methods, if they don't work, I don't teach them. So I tell you guys, apply everything with a grain of salt, even from what you learn from me. Everything you learn on my YouTube channel, apply with a grain of salt before you actually ingest the information so you can get in a better habit of digesting information. But when it comes to you guys, just accepting information so openly and freely, just know that 100% of what we know, let me put it to you like this. If you knew everything, whatever goal you have, you'd already be there by now. No excuse, right? So, we don't know everything. And the more we're able to humble ourselves, and humble ourselves is enormous. So remove the caprice of ego, the hubris, the pride about humans. It's because humans will get so caught up in certain things. So, just people become so involved with themselves and ego and not ever reach their highest potential spiritually. Their spiritual gifts don't open because they think they have every gift open. Well, you might have every gift, but you might have every gift open, but you have to keep develop your spiritual gifts. I'll talk about that in a future video. Can you have all the spiritual gifts? Yeah, but you have to develop all of them. And that takes a long, long time sometimes, unless it's your natural gift set. So everyone is human. We all have different, there's 12 zodiacs and entire charts for everyone, so everyone has different skill sets you're naturally given. You have several past lives, and you might have been very good at something in a past life. For example, I'm gonna give you guys an example. Let's just say you pick up a musical instrument, you like, and this is not necessarily a spiritual gift, but this is just an example. Like, so how some people can just walk outside their body and just like start moving stuff. Because you did that in like so many different lives besides this one, so that skill set transferred over, and you can use a crystal such as Newmite to transfer skills over like that too, which I'll consider selling Newmite oil in the future, because not everyone's meant to have certain crystals at certain times, because Newmite should come at a very specific time, because you don't want bad things transferring over, which it doesn't transfer over bad things, but it can bring up shadows, etc. That's a topic for a different video. But how do you open your spiritual gift set? You move closer to God, number one. And you realize you don't know everything. And one thing about humans, we're not perfect. We don't know everything. If we knew everything, even then, that wouldn't be helping us. There are so many examples of people just flat out thinking they know everything, and it doesn't help them. It doesn't help them grow. It keeps you at a stasis. It keeps you stuck. It keeps you stagnant. Now, once you're humble, once you assume, once you're close to God, humble, you don't know everything, then that's where you actually learn more. You learn what works, you learn what doesn't work, you learn methods that are fast, because you might open your spiritual gifts with a method that'll take you 5 years to open that gift, versus you keep practicing different things, and guess what? What's supposed to take you 5 years took you 5 days. I'll give you a little secret as to, here comes the secrets. A little secret as to how you can hijack your spirituality is with crystals. This is just flat out information that people don't know how to accept into their minds. It's good that some people don't know how to accept into their minds because it's not meant for everyone, but for people who are naturally just drawn to crystals, it's because you have a very special gift set. And you meet a certain line of requirements for the crystals to be able to just pull you towards them. Now, what about the people who are pushed away from crystals? Opposite. That's it. That's just opposite. Those people have a lot of work to do. If people are just flat out repulsed by all crystals, I can't really say too much about that. I'm going to make a video about that because I don't want to be... I don't want to sound overly harsh, but for people who are just repulsed by crystals and just hate crystals, when that person uses the crystal, it's like The Exorcist. Yeah. On to the next one is when you are close to God, humbling yourself, you're doing everything you're supposed to, you're trying things that work, it's the next thing you need to spiritually grow and become spiritually powerful is hunger. Not an insatiability, a hunger in the aspect of you're hungry for knowledge. You're that student that sits in the front of the class. You're that student who asks questions who gets you in trouble sometimes because you're asking a little too much. You're that student who you think it's annoying to ask too many questions, but that's actually what's putting you ahead of the rest of the class. So a giant portion of why, and I'm going to talk about this in a future video as well. So many future videos. There's a lot of people spiritually awakening right now, but there's not a lot of people stepping into their true power anymore. I do believe it's because the vibrations of the world is shifting, so the power is going to who it belongs to. So certain people are just upgrading with spiritual power like no one's business. Some people are still in the learning stages, and some people are just still asleep. Most of the world. But that's one thing you need is hunger, but not insatiability. Not like, I need more, versus I'm grateful for what I have. I'm very grateful for this knowledge. I'm grateful for what I'm becoming. I'm grateful for the gifts that I'm opening. And I'm grateful for the progress that I'm making. And another thing, the most important thing for becoming spiritual, tapping into your spiritual power, is patience. And if that word triggers you, then you need more of it. Because patience is huge. And patience is just everything when it comes to spiritual power. Because sometimes if you're supposed to get this, and coming from a person of light, when you're a person of light too, your ley line is God, the heavens. Everything that's good and everything that's right and everything that's full of light is being given to you. But if it was too much at once, then guess what? You can't use it. You just flat out can't use it. And what good is that? For people who are dark and they open their spiritual gifts, everything's cracked open at once. And it's crazy. It's so crazy to the point where people think they're just losing it. Like flat out losing it, and it doesn't go away. It just slowly gets worse. So when your gifts are of light, your gifts will trickle slowly, and then out of nowhere they'll just kind of crack open. And even then, because God knows that sometimes when your spiritual gift set's open a little too much too fast, it can be a little scary. For example, when I started hearing the astral realm and what it sounded like while I'm awake 24/7, I was just like, what is that? Because it can be a little ungrounding and it can be a little freaky, and it's like your human senses have never perceived it, and it can be a little disturbing just because it's new to you. But once you calm down and once you ease into your gift, it's like, okay, wait, this is just something that's different. Because if you see certain places in the astral realm with your actual third eye, you're like, what am I looking at? Like, what is this place? It's like you can be in a different place in the astral realm and like, what? Like, why is this? Everything looks like it's upside down. It's, what kind of planet is this? It's like, what other realities are this? Versus if you're rushed into that, it's gonna freak you out. Versus you slowly ease your way into it and you're like, okay, it's different. And then you start being able to incorporate it into your mentality. It's like, okay, I never thought this was out there, but I'm able to download what this truly is. And when you see other beings' faces, sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes they're not amazing. If they're of light, they're amazing. If they're not of light, then it's like, what is that doing out there? It's like, you get to see everything. So when you get to see everything spiritually, you want to make sure you see everything correctly. So people of darkness, they don't see it correctly, and then things start shifting over in the wrong aspects. That's why a lot of people of darkness will tell you a whole bunch of nothing and nothing to show for it. They have absolutely nothing to show for it. So I always go by when people talk about them having spiritual power, the biggest spiritual power is given to you by God. Humans are not powerful at all. Like, what we do is not even a little sneak peek, and people are not going to like this either. Your gifts are not even your gifts. They're gifts that God has let you hold. Now, that is like a very humbling part of the video. When people understand that, that's a gem. Because when you understand that, and it might feel like a kick in the gut, but he allowed you to hold them. So they are your gifts because he gave them to you. So it's a good thing, and it's even better thing than you thought of. Because people, and this is what happens when people outside of moving closer to God get bigger gifts, they think it's them. And when it disappears, it usually drives them mad. Most people of darkness have their gift disappear one way or another. And they don't know why it disappeared. They never find out why. The reason is why their gifts disappear. It's because it's not through God. It's not authentic through God. So a lot of people will talk to God coming from a dark place, and people think that they can talk to God for 5 or 10 minutes and then go out into the world and they're a completely different person, as if he doesn't still see them. How does that work? But the biggest thing is move yourself closer to God. Be hungry for the knowledge. Be patient. Drop ego. Drop pride. Anything. And ego and pride are contagious. I've made videos about those. So, especially because once you start really tapping into gifts, your angels will kind of let you think that they're your gifts just because they want to see how you react. But the gifts come from God. He gives them to your angels. Your angels can channel them through you because it's kind of like an electricity cord, like kind of like a power cord from heaven being plugged into you. And your gifts are on, versus when you're not being good with the gifts, you can just unplug them. When they come from down there, they still rely on God, but he's just allowing it. It's just electricity that's being allowed. So the most powerful way to open your spirituality and spiritual power and spiritual gifts is through God. You can't go around God. For people, and I'm not putting anyone down, although I'm saying right now, because people are like, oh, he's telling me I have to move closer to God, I don't need to move closer to God. And I've seen every form of comment. For the people who are trying to open their spiritual gift set or spiritual power without God, they really don't have much to show for it at all. It's smoke and mirrors. Posting on Instagram, editing your backgrounds to pretend you're at the beach is not actually living life. Yeah, because people are like, well, I see, and this happens to about 90% of people. They'll see their enemies on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, etc., living their best lives. It's smoke and mirrors because that's all they have is smoke and mirrors. They have nothing behind it, and it's not satisfying, so they have to keep putting up smoke and mirrors to at least let people think that they're having a good life. A good life is through God. The most gifted people in the entire world are not telling everyone everything about them. So, you know your gift is powerful when you don't tell anyone about it. Because there are so many different gifts. I wish I could talk. I might do a video just on spiritual gift sets alone. There's a lot of gifts out there. There's a lot. Once you start astral traveling, which I might teach about in the future, safe ways to astral travel, once you get outside your body, you're like, okay, cool. This is like, you're on a little mission. And for people of light and people doing right and people doing good, when you astral travel at a certain point, you get to take stuff back with you. If you have any questions, ask them in the comments section. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Keep moving closer to God. Keep staying patient. Keep being humble. Keep having that hunger about you, and try what works, try what doesn't work. Don't accept all information as factual until you really just incorporate it into your life. And then what will be the show for it is what you experience. Until then, I'll see you guys next time. Check out my website, floridastoneman.com. Ciao.